Hey, you guys, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully, you tune in. I'm so glad I got a better camera. My phone is so much better. This Samsung is pretty amazing when it comes to recording. Anyway, this is something that you don't see in reviews. I've not seen it, and I could be wrong, but as far as I can tell, I can't find anything about it. And I feel this is a subject that needs to be spoken about kind of in detail. And hopefully you sit through this video. And if not, I still appreciate you guys clicking and coming in here. Um, it's the mental burden of this hobby. And I think that's something that people tend to ignore. And I really think that it's not willingly, but I also know there's a lot of guys out there that have been a long time in this hobby that you get to a point and go like, what in the fuck am I actually doing here? How far am I willing to go with this? And what's next? And then the hobby turns into a mental burden. You start to think about it. You start to overthink things. You start to nitpick things. You start to criticize stuff that you never criticized before, just to just to satisfy and to put your mind at ease. Now, this sounds like psychology or that I'm a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychiatrist, but it's the psychological end that I feel myself at times. There is a burden attached to this hobby. And a big part of it is social media. We get a lot of influences from reviewers. We get a lot of influences from friends as well. This is why I always say this is a very lonely hobby. If you do it right, it's a pretty lonely hobby because in the end, there's only one guy, one man, or one woman that fits in that sweet spot, and it's you. And the problem is when you have friends, they try their best to help you, and it's usually advice you don't ask for that they're giving you. You know, like oh, maybe you should add a subwoofer. Maybe you should try. I feel that in the end, you have people that say, "Well, I don't really care what he says," but yet you do. It's a psychological human nature thing. You automatically take it to heart, and then you start to criticize, and you start to burden yourself with it. This, guys, is a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be when you're off work or for people who are retired or whatever you do in life. This should be your relaxation time. This should be sitting in the seat, enjoy your record, maybe choke up once in a while and pink a tear away when it's really hitting you in the soul. That is the hobby. And it's very hard to protect yourself these days from this. And it's very hard to admit that to yourself that you should make certain choices for yourself. And not always friendships fit in that. I've been there before. I've had audio friends before in my personal circles that we visit each other, we call each other every day, and it's always the same conversations. And then at one point, you start to realize like this is not working. We are at a crossroad that we together cannot cross anymore, and that's not their fault or your fault. That is just a situational thing, right? So I don't know how you guys feel about this. Um, Maybe this sounds like I'm maybe oversharing. I don't know, but I feel it's an important point of this hobby that a lot of people like me, like you, that suffer from that, and it's also a costly one. Because if you think about it, guys, what are you gonna do as soon as you feel a little bit, you're gonna start looking for faults in your system. You're gonna start criticizing things that you really shouldn't be criticizing. And what are you gonna do? Before you know it, you bought that next item on eBay. You bought that next item in a store, and that's the next best thing. That's great. The so-called perfection, um, the search for it. It's all here, really. Um, let me know, guys, how you feel about this. Do you guys suffer from this too? And how do you battle it? How do you cope with it? Do you either battle it or cope with it, or do you just ignore it, or have you never ever felt that way? Um, I feel that it's a subject that is sensitive with us audio guys Like I said, we're gearheads. We love music. We love equipment. But I also feel it's a legit concern. It's a legit concern, and I also think that social media is a big part in that what you feel, because you get, excited seeing stuff you've never owned before, that you never had, and then you start to long for it, and then you start to make excuses, and you know um, in the end, guys, I think I'm at the stance of, you got to sit down in this chair. You're the only person that matters in this seat. You're the only person that matters. Nobody else. I don't matter. Your neighbor doesn't matter. Your wife, your child, whoever, they do not matter. In the end, you're the one sitting here holding this remote or whatever you got and press play and enjoy the music. And if you can ground yourself in that, I think things will be okay. Let me know in the comments, you guys. Like and subscribe. I really love the support. The support is phenomenal. As you can tell, I don't talk about just normal things. I try to go out of my way and think a little bit deeper about this hobby and what it does for me. So do not take this as psychological advice or anything. This is just how I feel, and I felt like sharing today. I just wanted to talk about it and see where you guys stand. And if you guys have felt that before, that type of situation, then please comment. As you can tell, if you look at my videos, I tend to read every comment that comes through. I'm always interested in hearing you guys' perspective on things. Again, thank you. Like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.